Hello, I'm Philip Stoden from My House to Yours. Welcome to this episode of EMS India podcast. I am joined by Gaurab Majumda. He is Vice President at the Global Electronics Association, not just for India, but for the whole of Southeast Asia. Gaurab, thanks so much for joining me. I wanted to start with a quick introduction. Tell us about your journey. How did you come to lead the Global Electronics Association operations across India, Southeast Asia, Middle East, and Africa? And what does that role look like since you joined in 2020?
First of all, Philip, thank you for inviting me to this great session. I joined Global Electronic Association, which was earlier IPC, as you know, during the end of 2020, whereas the COVID was the second wave was hitting the world. And the global electronics industry was facing disruptions in the whole of the supply chain. So that was my start with Global Electronic Association. The association started in India around 2010, when the global companies were setting up their bases in India, and that was a start. So I joined exactly after 1 decade, and I saw that we are predominantly doing training and certifications in India. That's to develop the skill sets. My role was not much focused on the administration and operations, but I thought of elevating the brand as well as the association's other resources, the whole over India. So that was my focus. I focused 2 years mostly in the Indian, because India is a very big country, and there are hubs, it's just not the Bangalore, but if you spread across India due to this automotive and defense hubs, the EMS companies are now going around India, and you see them pockets in Pune, in Chennai, in the north, in Gurgaon. So they're spread across. So I started building up the team. Currently, we have 30 plus full-time employees. When I joined, it was only, I think, 14 or 15. So that was my start. And there was a lot of kind of new initiatives taken. India was really missing in the standard development activity, because as you know that our association, which is the main pillar of the standard development, there was no any activity from India to the global committee. So there was no inputs, no comments. So my first step was to develop a committee on EMS, on wire harness, on automotive, on IoT. So we are looking at new different things on some of the vertical market, like defense and aerospace. So that was start, and I have a great story to talk about. But I hope to start with, this was my first good journey to start.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting journey. And it's really interesting what you say about the hubs. I'd like to dig into that a little bit later and understand where those different hubs. But I wanted to zoom out and talk about the big picture, this huge Indian opportunity. It feels like a once in a generation moment. We've talked about India so many times in the last 2 decades as a serious contender to China, and it seems to have taken some global disruptions to make people understand they need some risk mitigation and some diversity in their supply chain. And that seems to be creating an opportunity for India that perhaps didn't exist before. And obviously other timings in the market and with what's going on with government there have impacted that. But from the position where you sit at the intersection of standards, government relations, industry insight, and of course on the ground, how significant do you think this moment is for the industry? And does the narrative, which is extremely positive externally, does the narrative fit the reality?
Yeah, of course. Let me take you to this bit of background. When in 1990s, when India started globalization, it focused on the software and business process outsourcing. The manufacturing, predominantly in the tech domain, I feel was given momentum in the last 1 decade. And therefore, and we got some tangible results. Of course, the PLI, as you know, has been a great success. And this year, the biggest thing that we got is the component electronics manufacturing scheme, which was not there. So the government is looking at the full picture, so that's a good one, but it has started a few years back. It will take some time.
Yeah.
Currently, we are around $142 billion in production in electronics manufacturing, and government has set a huge target of 300 plus by 2030. And then they're bringing semiconductor ecosystems, electronics manufacturing, the global companies, Indian companies, they are working on a very kind of deadlines to meet these kind of goals. So we see a momentum, and the heat is on. And I think as an association, we need to look at what value as a global association we can bring. There are several associations in India doing great work on the ground, but as a standards organizations, as a workforce, as a advocacy organizations, what additional we can bring, what is the complementary kind of things that we can do. That is what I'm looking at.
Yeah,
and I'm happy to give some examples going forward.
Yeah, it's really interesting though, because you mentioned that the government has extended beyond the PLI, which was clearly a success and has been well documented. Extending on beyond that into something that is holistic for the whole electronic manufacturing supply chain is very important. I think the word holistic also reflects what the Global Electronics Association does. You're able to bring lots of elements together, and actually understanding those enables you to do each of the other ones that little bit better. You mentioned a figure close to 150 billion in terms of electronic manufacturing. Is that a mix of in-house manufacturing and outsourced? Is that kind of 50-50 EMS and in-sourced manufacturing by OEMs?
Yes, it's a total picture, out of which 60 to 65% are into the mobile as well as consumer electronics. Then there are telecom, then there is automotive, then there is strategic electronics, which is defense, aerospace, and then there is some kind of momentum in the PCB and in the component manufacturing.
Yeah. What do you see in the AI market in terms of data center build-up? Is that something that is a big opportunity for India?
There is a very big opportunity. In fact, a few weeks back in the South India, the big major player has announced some kind of strategic partnership. So that is something that India will be looking at in the coming years on the data centers and servers.
Yeah, I think that's huge, isn't it? And just going back to those specific sectors, you mentioned earlier that they were in different regions. Just talk me through those big areas like telecoms or mobile telecoms, automotive, medical, the other areas. Are they gravitating to a particular region? And perhaps give me an idea why. I know things like Foxconn building a big campus for Apple, for example, has a big impact, doesn't it? That creates a center of gravity.
So if you see the map of the electronics manufacturing in India, I would say it started from Bangalore, and that was predominantly a defense and aerospace base, and that's where our concentration of our members are. And it's just not Bangalore, but the surrounding, like Mysore and Bangalore, they're spread across. Then we see a very good momentum in Chennai due to the automotive hub. As you know, that there are a lot of automotive OEMs in Chennai. Similar to that, there is in Pune, again, the automotive hub. But where you see the Chennai also has concentration of the consumer electronics. Of course, Flex is there, and the mobile manufacturers are there. Then you go towards north in the Gurgaon and Noida, you will see more kind of consumer electronics like Dixon and the big players like Motherson for the wire harness and things are there. Then the major thing that is coming up is in Gujarat, which is Gandhinagar and Ahmedabad area, which is semiconductors.
Mm.
And Tata is looking at building up an OSAT in the northeast of India, which is Assam. So here you see that it's spread across India, and that's where we see the momentum, and that's where we see our engagement with the industry in these kind of locations. So we do have presence of our staff in all these places.
Yeah, and actually, when you think of a country with the population and the size of India, actually having people deployed regionally, so you're not constantly on an aeroplane, much as you flying around Southeast Asia as well now. That keeps you very busy. The core to success, I guess, when I look at it, are two things. One is having the technical know-how and the quality systems, and that comes from standards, and the other is the other is skills and the ecosystemic approach. Tackling standards and quality, where do you feel India is in terms of maturity of adopting those standards, and where have you seen gaps that are perhaps more acute that you need to help fill?
What I've learned in the last 5 years that the global OEMs have really helped us to create awareness of standards in India. If these companies or the contract manufacturing EMS are exporting to defense OEM in US or Europe or aerospace, Boeing or Airbus or medical or automotive, then only their understanding about the IPC standards. And that made us to connect with them.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the Indian SMEs, Indian OEMs, still there is a gap. And particularly, we see a very big gap in the consumer electronics and the mobile manufacturing domain, where it falls in the class 2 and there is no kind of learning opportunities of those standards in that. So, but still we have made like a good progress. And to give you some kind of a success story, let me tell you that in 2018 or 19, India was positioned around 22nd or 23rd in the global map when it comes to the certifications.
Yeah.
But in 2025, India is on the 7th position in the world when it comes to the number of certifications per year. So that is a very big progress. And I can tell you a definite number of around 4,000 professionals last year has gone into certifications. That's a huge number for Indian who are into in the EMS. If you also look at the EMS kind of map in India, probably I can think of around 800 plus companies who are doing contract manufacturing, but not all are associated with us because somewhere they feel that standards are not applicable to their product category. So these are things that we see, and we are constantly trying to create awareness of the standards, the best practices, how it can develop the quality and make the product more reliable.
Yeah, and I think that's key, isn't it? I think it's the very smallest EMS understanding that they are getting value out of those standards. And much as they perhaps don't think they need them now, if they see their future as growing and becoming more pivotal or being acquired by any of those larger companies, they really need to get on board with not just the standards, but also the workforce training. That whole workforce side seems to be something that attracts people to India. I spoke to Otto Puk recently, who's the president and CEO of INCAP, who have a facility in India, and he said there are more engineering graduates in India every year than the entire population of his home country, Estonia. that's a staggering statistic. Well over a million, 1.5 or so million graduates. Do you see that as something that needs continuous work? Do you think that relationship with academia, as well as the certification work you're doing, is important to make sure you don't just have graduates, but you have graduates with the right skill set?
The challenge is a big issue in India and probably in all other countries, particularly the electronics manufacturing domain, because the engineers, they prefer to go into the software than the hardware. That's the mindset. Having said that, what we have done in India, we have introduced workforce training, which is like a one level below the certifications, and that's has helped us to train the newcomers who are joining from the university, as well as we call it the diploma level, the polytechnic level, and the companies are really getting help from that training. We have also done an experiment with an university in South India in training their final year students on those workforce training, and did an internship of around 15 days with some of our members. And that was a huge kind of difference it made, because those students were nowhere, having knowledge of the soldering or wire harness. And when they was touching the PCB in the class, and they were feeling that this PCB probably will be going in an aircraft or a space, that kind of change of mind is important. Otherwise, these students, while they come and join these companies and they work on the shop floor 8 hours on soldering, they doesn't get that passion, that kind of thing. So if we train them before they join the industry and change their mind that yes, you are building up an industry and building up a reliable product. And we got a very positive feedback from the industry on those student training, and we are trying to continue those kind of projects in other universities. So
yeah, and that outreach and communication is huge. And by the way, Gaurab, I would mention to those guys that want to do software instead of hardware, is the fact that AI is coming for their job much faster than it's coming for their hands-on work on the shop floor. I think the other exciting thing you do in the area, and I just think it's worth mentioning, is the hand soldering competitions you run and the wire harness competitions that have now been added to that. It really feels like it gives you that grassroots connection to the people that are making products. Going to completely the other end of the scale, government relations are huge. If we look at lessons that a country like India can learn from the last 25 years that China has been in the WTO, having a robust, reliable, long-term government policy is absolutely fundamental to successfully transforming an industrial sector. You have an increasing role and an increasing partnership with government. That's critical to what you do, but it's also critical to the success of the industry. Talk to me a little bit about that.
My earlier association with the government agencies that helped me to, bring that kind of a government relation. So I earlier worked with Government of India agency as well as US and South Korean government. And when I joined this association, I felt that there was a gap, that, meeting the government, understanding their priorities and how we can integrate our association activities with their mission is one of the important tasks. We made some breakthroughs. Some of them I'd like to highlight. We, with the help of with the Department of Commerce, we took some Indian SMEs to our Apex exhibitions 2 years back, and that really opened the eyes that yes, US is an important market and for the SMEs. So that was one success. Second is that we helped the Ministry of Defense to adopt 2 of our standards, or making our standard more regionalized in the context of the PCB manufacturer. So we had a MOU with them during January this year, and we have a roadmap, and Ministry of Defense is helping us to promote the IPC standards to the whole Indian defense community on the PCB manufacturing. So these kind of things helps both the association members as well as the government, because government was not aware of these kind of standards and what that can help the Indian ecosystem. When they talk about Make in India, first thing comes that what should be the standards, and since our standards are industry trusted standards, so it's easily to be adopted, and it's a process standard. So these kind of informations were not there, and then our committees as well as my team helped me to meet these agencies, and then the conversation began, and now we have some good success stories. And with now what we are dedicatedly, putting resources in this field, which was not earlier there. I was doing this kind of things. So we have a government relations director joining very soon. We have 2 industry intelligence positions that have been filled within the next 2-3 months. This is very important. When we go to the government, if we show them that reports, what we have from the industry, what is the gap and how we are looking at filling the gaps, that's where the conversation starts with the government. So it's a long-term kind of things, and I really see a roadmap, and thanks to my leadership team in the US and Europe who are helping me out.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I think it's really valuable, and it's not just it's not just national government in India. You have to connect to the regional governments as well, and make sure you've got all that together. But it does connect to a global picture. So you look at what's happening in Brussels, you look at what's happening in Washington, and the different initiatives there and partnerships with government, and it really does provide the momentum and the roadmap, if you like, for that success in advocacy. When you look at talking to the government, are you happy with what they're doing at the moment? Do you feel there are gaps that they're missing? Do you think there are any gaps in their understanding? It's always important that they listen to us and we listen to them.
India is a very big country. There is a federal government, there is a state government, and of course, the state government has their own policies. And if you're inviting any company to invest in India, sometimes they're confused which state they should go. They would like to be part of the OEMs and the clusters, but sometimes again, the infrastructure as well as the ease of doing business in some of the states may not be similar to some of the other states. So, the federal government as well as state government understands this. Again, the tax system is a different to different states. The government, the goods and things movements. So these are something that the government is looking at for in the investment point of view. But again, the raw material supply, as you know, that India is dependent on some of the raw materials, including PCBs, in a high volume, a high quantity from outside India. So there are challenges within, and government is trying to formulate some measures, but we just started the journey, so it will have taken a long time to fulfill.
Yeah, it's fascinating when I look at global trade and I look at the complex global supply chain, and it is a very global supply chain that supports the industry. Much as we want to build up the ecosystem internally, we do have to have those very strong trading relationships. And in a world of geopolitical disruption and challenges, it becomes ever more important to focus on those. Within India, it feels like we have had maybe not so much these false dawns, but we've had a lot of occasions in the last 20 years where we've talked about India as the new China, or we've talked about India having this boom in electronic manufacturing. It does feel genuinely different this time. But what do you think are the risks that could derail this opportunity? Or do you feel that it is a really robust potential and opportunity?
Definitely, we are seeing a tangible results in the last few years. It's just not news, but it's happening.
Yeah.
You could see that the first chips came out from an Indian organizations which went to satellite, things like that. The government is also focusing just not semiconductors, but the biggest challenge, as I mentioned, is on the raw materials.
Yeah.
PCBs, materials, and other component kind of things. So, government has announced some kind of those kind of measures this year. It will take some time. It is in the path, and the roadmap has been laid down, and industry is happy. The SMEs are coming on front, startups are coming on front. We see that the design, if you see the main thing, the design, which we see our training and certification, the design has gone up in the last few years. And a lot of those startups, a lot of those small companies are coming to us, taking those design trainings, and they are servicing to the world in Europe and US. So India has already developed a design kind of hub. Manufacturing is going well. Again, the SMEs are coming on board. OEMs are happy with the quality and that India's contract manufacturing putting. And you see a lot of those big companies like Boeing and all those are now setting up their base in India. And again, some of the challenges will be there when we look at a long-term kind of roadmap. And I think in the going forward, this will have a rosy picture.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think also when I look at the activities you have in the different areas of advocacy and communication and insight within the industry, as well as workforce training, you're there to help mitigate some of those challenges and at least make people constantly aware. So they're doing that. I just want to wrap up by looking ahead. Your event, IEMI, has become pivotal in Southeast Asia, a huge success. I don't know if that was luck, perfect timing, or just great insight on your part. What does its growth tell us about the momentum in the industry in India, and actually the momentum in the industry throughout Southeast Asia, when people are looking for alternative locations to manufacture?
IME is basically a journey, and we started in 2022 as a global association. We thought that we need to help not only the local companies but also help our global members to get and understand that what India is doing and what they can source from India. So we started doing this B2B events. It's a purely B2B events in two cities in Delhi and Bangalore in a spread of 3 days. And we brought companies from outside India and helped them to meet the local companies through a matchmaking process. And then on the other side, we did technical conferences, bringing speakers from automotive, from AI, and talking about the best practices. And then other activity we did on, of course, the competition. So it was some kind of a package that we give to the companies, and we did vendor development program, which was like a very important part of that. We brought an Indian OEM to talk about what is their supply chain looks like in the next 5 years, and then we brought the Indian SME. So those things had attracted the attention of the Indian companies, and they felt that yes, we are just not a training organizations. We are helping in the supply chain resilience, and then government came on board, and then they supported us, and that gave us also a happiness that we should do it annually. And this event is growing, and we saw a very big participation both from India and other countries in this year in 2026 in Bangalore in January. And so this is something new, but we are seeing a very good participation of the global as well as Indian industry.
Yeah, and I think the next event is it Vietnam? The next event
is in Malaysia in
Malaysia.
September 2027. Yeah.
Okay. And what about the next event in India? When do you expect that to occur?
So we are planning a government event sometime in the first quarter of 2027,
Okay.
bringing the government as well as industry to have a dialogue on the supply chain resilience, because now we have an advocacy department, and if we feel that let's bring this, bringing both the global companies as well as Indian SMEs and the government in one room. So that is
Yeah.
something in the.
Yeah, I think that's huge, and I think that's really valuable. They get to understand what the industry wants, and the industry gets to understand what they're thinking and what they're doing. I want to give you the final word, Gaurab. I really appreciate your time. When if you were speaking to the global electronics community about India, what do you want them to understand, and what do you think they might be misunderstanding? What do you think they might be getting wrong about India?
My message to the global community is that please do come visit India, and as an association, we can help you to meet our companies, the members, whether you're looking at sourcing from India, whether you are looking at selling your product to India, because India is a huge market, and the ease of doing business has changed. The perception has changed thanks to government and industry. India is not that 2000 India. It's 21st century India, and it has in the electronics and semiconductor domain. It is going to be a big hub of the world.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think it's an important place to be visiting and to be looking. And actually, it's fascinating. I've asked a number of people that question, and the first answer has always been, "Come visit." It's extremely welcoming, and I think it's that invitation to come and see what's going on and actually connect to the people is hugely valuable. Gaurab, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for taking part
Thank
today.
you.
Really appreciate it, and I hope we can speak again soon.